welcome back this morning, and welcome in the first place this morning to Midge Ure. Nice to see you.
Nice to see you.
You've been sort of locked away for a couple of years making a new album.
That makes me sound like a criminal. Yes, I have actually. I've locked myself away for the last couple of years in a couple of studios, working on this thing of mine. I don't think you actually plan to go away for 2 years to do something like that. I think anyone who does plan it should be locked away.
So you didn't know when you started, you had no idea how long it was going to take you?
No.
But you organised for yourself a period of relative silence and seclusion, so you've got no distractions.
Well, yes, I mean, you have to kind of cut yourself off from the rest of what happens to be a fairly sort of bizarre business. You have to get away from the hecticness of it. And I have a home in the Caribbean, and I chose to do some writing out there, which is a very quiet place. It's a very small island, the Isle of Montserrat. And I chose to do some writing there, which was nice because you get in a different kind of thinking mode, I think, than from you. I live in London, and London can be a bit hectic. The phone's always going. There's a million things people want you to do. Management's on the phone all the time. So out in Montserrat, you're not as easily accessible, so you can get on with the work.
Well, that's obviously good for the music. Is it good for your career? Is it good for somebody? You're 37, aren't you?
38 now.
38. Is it good for someone who is in an industry where image can be sort of evaporated almost overnight if you're not exposed? Is it good to disappear for 2 years?
I don't think so. I mean, I didn't think it would affect me too much. I mean, I chose to go off and do this, and I was in control of what I was doing. I wasn't working with producers or people who were making me stay there or making me stay away so long. I chose to do it because I thought the music warranted it, that I wanted to come up with something that I thought was of very high quality. And that takes time. And the fact that, you come back and people say, oh, it's nice to see you back. And I say, well, back from where? I mean, I've been working constantly. I haven't been anywhere, So to me, it's like a different area of work, the actual writing and recording process. But I tend to forget that you're actually at the public eye.
Absolutely. Well, that's part and parcel of the scheme. Sorry, Judy.
No, but you're going on tour, aren't
Yes.
you? So that's, I mean, is that a huge change? I mean, you come from this sort of this isolation, and suddenly you are facing. I mean, when you're writing, I mean, are you thinking of all the people who will come and see you? Do you have them in your head?
Well, not really. You've really got to write what you think is interesting, because making an album has more longevity than a tour. Touring is different. Performance mode is different. People not only listen to the music, they're looking at the lights, and it's the performance, and it's the evening they remember, rather than the musical elements. The album, hopefully, they'll have people having the collections for quite a while, so they'll be able to look back at that. So the music has to have more longevity to it. It's funny, it's different getting into the touring mode, because you have to again put your mind into a different gear and start thinking about lights and stage sets and the running order, what songs do I actually want to do. I mean, I've got a wealth of material to choose from, and I have to choose something that satisfies me as well as an audience.
So what's the point of a tour these days then, for someone like you? Is it basically to flog copies of the album, or is it to make money on the tour itself, or is it just to keep you in circulation?
You really don't make money on tours. I think Ultravox, possibly, who did an awful lot of touring, possibly made money on one British tour. It costs so much. The costs are ridiculous now. This is the first tour I've done over here in about 5 years, and I was shocked at the amount of money involved in putting the thing together.
So why do it? Is it to sell the
album?
It's
mainly to let people know that the album's out there and that I'm still alive.
You've got to show the people who sort of go out and buy it that you're there and you're accessible, you're available.
Well, the thing is, I'm a live performer. That's how I started. I was never allowed near a studio when I was younger. So my background is going out and playing and performing, and I actually missed that. For the last few years, I did 6 months of touring in the back of the last album, but only in America. So I haven't been seen in Europe for quite a long time. So I'm looking forward to it. It's a form of enjoyment. It's not particularly creative to do it. The creative side of it is in the studio, but the enjoyment side of it is going out and just showing off for an hour and a half.
That's it, the ego, if you like.
Well, we'll be hearing one of the tracks from it, which is also your new single, a bit later on in the show. But isn't there also a track on the album about sort of personal responsibility, about, for example, the kind of way people felt about Ethiopia, which of course you got very involved in together with Bob Geldof?
Well, yeah, there's a track which I think is probably one of the best songs I've written in a long time, a song called Let It Go, and it is about responsibilities and where we stand, because I think even through the whole Band Aid Live Aid thing, I still found myself doubting that I was the person to do the job. I just kept thinking, well, I'm an ex-apprentice engineer from Glasgow. What do I know about Eritrea or digging wells or, you know, whatever?
You mean you didn't think you were up to it, or you didn't think that you were the appropriate person to do it?
Well, you know, obviously there had to be people much more geared towards handling a situation like that than I was. It just, because of circumstance, we found ourselves responsible for all that money, you know, and we had to do something about it. But the song kind of deals with those elements, you know. It's easy to kind of shrug your shoulders and say, oh, well, I don't have to worry about the ozone layer, somebody else is doing that, and there must be a minister in charge of, you know, tropical rainforest, and of course there isn't, you know, and we are responsible, and we should stand up and be counted now and again.
I suppose the problem for people like yourself is that, I mean, when you do something as spectacularly successful as Live Aid, and it raises all that money, and then next time, and unfortunately, I mean, disasters and famines and things sort of cropping up all the time, everyone turns to you again and says, the way to deal with it is another Live Aid. That must get, I mean, do you sort of feel sometimes that people expect a little too much?
I think the organisations, the charity organisations, thought that the whole pop thing was wonderful. What a great way to raise money very quickly, you know. And I think they're partially responsible for the overkill in that area. Not just them, the media as well, the industry itself. I think in the last few years we've seen a lot of big, mega, global charity things, and I don't know, they've changed. So, I mean, Live Aid was such a kind of honest. It was real.
Very simple, wasn't it?
It was simple, and because people felt passionate about it, people really wanted it. Not just the artists who were doing it, but the public who wanted to see it. There was a real feel for it. And the last couple of global concerts I've seen, I think it's slightly changed. I think people, the industry's got its hands on it, and I think you're getting artists coming on going, hi, how you doing? Here's my new single from my brand new album, and using it as a vehicle to promote themselves, which I don't agree with.
So you've got to be very careful with taste and judgment as well. I mean, I think one of the strongest and most moving images from the Live Aid concert was that Cars song, which was sort of set against those terrible pictures from Ethiopia, which reduced us to tears. I think that's happening less now. I think that the more people have recognised that vehicle of music and images can create very powerful reactions. I've seen a few things which I think that the taste and the judgment is very blurred.
Yeah, and I don't think it's just the rock areas that's doing it. I think a lot of the big telethon things are actually doing that as well. Now they're really going for the heartstrings, and you know, pull the heartstrings and open the purse strings, really.
Yeah.
Do you feel? I mean, I remember Bob Geldof was interviewed shortly after Live Aid and Band Aid and the whole bit, and he said that it had been a big career break for him, and he felt quite nervous about going back into the arena. Did you feel the same? Did it suck everything out of you for a couple?
Well,
of
it was slightly different for me because I was still kind of up and running with Ultravox at the time when we went into the whole Band Aid Live Aid thing. So when I came out the other side of it, I was still touring, whereas Bob, at the time, nobody knew whether the Boomtown Rats were still around. He'd been very quiet musically for a while, and I think he found it very difficult because he was as well known as any major world political leader. He was a well-known figure all over the world as Bob Geldof Band Aid, and very difficult to come out of that and become Bob Geldof the singer again, which is what all he really wanted to do. He just found that he had this massive burden to bear, and all he really wanted to do was to do what I was doing. When he sent me fantastic notes and things to my concert saying, "You're lucky. I wish I was you." And I think, man, you're the one with the knighthood. Excuse me.
Yes. Well, absolutely. You pay your money and take your choice. Listen, it's very nice to meet you. I'm glad you made it up today, and we'll be seeing and hearing from you later on.
All right.
Okay, it's time for another break. We're back.
Another long night, caresses round me, shows no pity, knows no shame, to share its lifetime of endless moments till I can touch the light again. Everything changes, everything round us, everything matters after all. Let something move me and I will follow, not walking blind but walking tall. Where does it say that we must hide inside this cold divide where nothing good can grow? When has a life been black and white where it's only wrong or right? I never never felt so low.